2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. What is ultimate interdependency? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
What's up, brother? What's going on, Brannon? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're getting all geared up for this at Lovestrong. If anyone's interested, go check this out. But at Lovestrong, not Lovestrong, at that's my company. At Reclaim Your Heart, which is our platform, Brannon, we're doing our Signal Fire coming up. So reclaimyourheart.org, go look at it. But we're just putting together all the pieces, and I just went up to the place where we're doing the fire this weekend with my daughter, and it was just like this blissful experience where she just kind of was open and vulnerable and told some of her story with Chase, who's, people who know who Chase is now, but then coming back down, I didn't realize we worked all day up there, like getting things in order, getting enough firewood stacked, getting like a few other supplies, tried to take it up there. And by the time I came back down, I was spent, and I spent the whole weekend like in recovery mode. And it just kind of hit me like how old I am now, and that I am aging, and that death is inevitable.
Don't say that. Hopefully you got some time.
We all like, I think I live in denial all the time that I'm still like a 25-year-old man. And like, it's actually, I'm a 48-year-old man with 65-year-old hips now. And that's just the reality.
You're a 48-year-old dude with like 150 years of life that you've lived. Like hard labor. You know who you remind me of?
Oh no,
Jean Valjean.
Hey, I'll take that. He's like my favorite character of all time.
I just think of you in that, like, it's like your life was in that just labor camp for like the first 40 years of your life. And now you're wondering why your hips hurt when you hike a mountain in the middle of the winter. It's like, when are you going to realize you're not Superman?
I think we all want to be. And
you'll be laying on your deathbed, and you'll be like, I'm going to get up and get my own lunch.
Honestly, that's the only way I want to go out. Like I got this guy who's like one of my mentors. He's like such an awesome mentor to me. He's in his 70s now. He's like one of the very few people ever who has had pancreatic cancer and gone into remission. And like he's in his 70s now. And he literally went elk hunting with me last year, and he hiked straight up a mountain 3 miles each way, and he never complained once. And I was like, how did that guy just do that?
Yeah.
And it's literally just sheer like resolve, toughness, and will. You know,
There's a balance to that. Like that can help you live long, and that can kill you.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely. Either way, but that's how I want to go out. That's how I want to go out.
Yeah. Well, the truth is we are getting old.
Yeah.
We need to embrace our age and just enjoy it as we eventually die.
Yeah. Enjoy the process and be fully engaged in it.
We're all in the process of dying. That's what we're doing. So,
yeah.
Well, speaking of maybe a little bit happier topics here, let's talk about really the topic today is healthy attachment. It's like healthy attachment on the biggest level. Like
you called it ultimate interdependence.
Ultimate interdependency, which I really want to explain, and I think it's possible. But there's like, as we illustrate it, hopefully as we talk about it, people can see like, whoa, like there's a whole other level here of love, trust, safety, intimacy, connection that I may not have thought was even possible. And so let's back up a little bit, Tyler, and explain what healthy attachment interdependency is. We talk about this all the time. But what is interdependency?
Yeah, interdependency is the combination of knowing who I am, being okay with who I am, being able to be independent, and then choosing to engage in a relationship with something or somebody for the sake of something bigger than myself, while offering and receiving a deep sense of connection. So,
man, that's a lot of words, but that was well put. Go rewind that like 4 times. What Tyler just said, there's a ton of wisdom in, but what the hell did you just say?
Okay, let me try another one. I know who I am. I know who you are. I'm okay being me. I'm okay with you being you, and I want to have a relationship with you on the level that works for us.
That way to dumb that down.
Is that better?
That's excellent. It sounds so simple now, and yet it's so hard. Like that is so hard to do. We all struggle with over attachment, with under attachment, with all kinds of things like that. That's really difficult. What you just said, Tyler.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's way difficult. And maybe today we could talk a little bit about a couple of the things that make it difficult. We could also sort of talk about why it would be important for us to pursue this idea of interdependence and what the benefits are. And then you had a few kind of thoughts going in as to why you named it ultimate interdependence.
Yeah, let's do that. So let's back up and first talk about why don't we all just show up this way? If this is what's healthy, what undermines it? What gets in the way? Why do we end up unhealthy in our attachments?
Yeah, I think it's kind of two sides to that coin, right? In relationships, we want to know that the core relationships we engage in, that the people that we're engaged with love us, they see us, and that they're there for us. They're not going anywhere. And then on the individual side of things, every one of us living in this kind of world that we live in, we tend to default to a belief that there's something so wrong with us that if people saw it, they wouldn't love us. And so what we end up doing is we withhold our authenticity in order to try to get connection, but then it robs us of the ability to actually have deeper connection because we can't be interdependent, because we don't believe the best things about ourselves, we don't actually know who we are. We don't step into that full independence.
And the seeds of this, I think, are this is my theory, Tyler. I think they're twofold. I think sometimes a soul is born into this world and they're naturally, I'll just say, insecure. They're naturally like have a hard time trusting themselves and being vulnerable with others. Sometimes that's the case, but usually, even more so, there's trauma, and trauma is complex. It's tricky. Sometimes it's obvious. If, for example, let's say dad walked out on you when you were 5 years old in your life, that's going to lead to attachment issues down the road because you experience significant abandonment as a child. Um, or let's take little t trauma. Let's say mom was constantly um, trying to get you to perform so that she could have worth.
So that she could tell herself she was a good mom.
Yeah. So she's like getting you. So this is little t trauma that's as a child, you don't really know
You don't
what's
even know
happening.
what that is. That's
You're
just
just
life.
trying to, Tyler, you're singing the kindergarten song for dad.
Of all you learn here,
Please
remember
don't.
this the best.
Do not.
Don't
Um,
hurt each other and clean up.
yeah, you just triggered me. Um, actually, I love it. I love the song, um, but yeah, this is just an example, right? Like, and it's we could give all kinds of little tricky examples of where love gets messed up, where abandonment happens, where consumption of you as a human happens, and these little subtleties or these big, massive events that happen in your life, they trigger a response of I need to do something in order to be loved. I need to make sure that I am loved because attachment is essential for my survival. And so I'm going to respond to this broken love in a way of trying to get love. All of this stuff sets you up. It sets you up to not be an honest, vulnerable, intimate human being down the road.
That's right. And what you're saying, Brandon, is there is some level of like nature in terms of we all come hardwired a little bit differently to how we receive the messages that come to us through growing up. But all of us growing up will have some kind of messaging that could be interpreted as something's wrong with me, or I need to do certain things in order to be accepted. And because as human beings, our biggest fear is that we will end up being isolated and alone. That puts us in a weird spot where you go into places and you're being told, just be happy, being content with yourself, know who you are, like show up. We say this on the podcast all the time, Brannon. At the same time that we have this burning feeling inside that says, but I need to be connected to people. And then it's this weird dance of some people with attachment, they go outward and they go like, I'm a lone man, I'm a rock, I'm an island. I'm not putting myself into the risk of that connection because I know I'm going to get rejected. Or other people, they go the other way and they chase the connection so much that they end up sacrificing all of their values and never actually getting the connection they wanted. And either one of those is a response to that sort of like fear or desire of needing to be connected. And yet the best connections happen when I I do know who I am. I am independent. A little bit of that, like, yeah, I know who I am, and I know who you are, and I want to be engaged with you because the benefit is far greater when we're connected than when we're two individuals.
Yeah, coming back to your definitions of interdependency, um, it's like this catch 22. You and I see couples that come out in the wash of this. So after they get in a relationship in their naive 20s, they consume and use and disconnect and stonewall and have addictions behind the scenes and all of that. The consequences pile up and pile over, and they end up in our office, right? And a lot of times, as you examine the situation, you see intense independence happening in the relationship, or a ton of codependency, or a combination of the two, right? And and they say, let's fix the problem. And you and I, Tyler, sometimes will be like, okay, like show up interdependent. Here you go. This is what you do. Boom, boom, boom. Right. But in order to show up interdependent, we got to come back to your definition. I know who I am. I trust myself. I know I have worth that's not dependent upon you loving me.
The individual work of shame resilience and of like understanding and coming to the conclusion and acceptance of truly who you are.
So what this all suggests is that if you really want to consistently show up as an interdependent partner, you need to Finlayson 5 calls self-confront. You need to self-examine and look at this and say, what trauma do I need to deal with? What wounds are there? What protective parts? Whatever we want to call it.
What beliefs are holding me back?
What beliefs? All the stuff. What about I? And the systems that I live under, the perspectives that I have, is making it so that I can't show up as a healthily attached, secure partner who can show up interdependent. Right? That really is the work.
That's right. That's basically what our whole healing journey is based on, is the individual side of that work of truly making peace with past beliefs, traumas, and then stepping into full acceptance, a more full acceptance of truly who you are and living that way.
Yeah. Little side note, and I don't want to go off on this tangent too far, but acting out in a sexual addiction, a lot of times is nothing more than a codependent response. So it's a sex addict trying to get his worth from another human being, and for a split second of a feeling of euphoria and okayness of like, oh my gosh, I connected. Now, it might have been in a completely unhealthy way, but their addiction is their attempt to find God. Their addiction is their attempt to feel okayness outside of what's going on in their life. And so that's why the addiction is so hard to let go of, because it all comes back to that attachment of needing that okayness from somebody else.
Some place, something, somebody else.
Right. So to get in full recovery, you actually get to a place of like, I'm not going to consume humans in order to be okay. Whether it's consuming my wife for my self-worth because she said, good job, you're awesome, or consuming pornography to feel like, okay, I get a break and I feel powerful, or whatever it might be. So that's a little side note. I guess why I bring that up, Tyler, is this interdependency is the best sign of actual recovery. Right?
Well, it's because that is, in essence, it is part of the process of recovery, is growing into that space. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing in order to actually find recovery. It's not just stopping a bad behavior. That bad behavior is symbolic of other things, and it's scratching certain itches, and it's trying to complete you in certain ways. And that's why people say like your addiction is your God-sized hole in your heart, and that's why we don't shy away from the wrestle with something bigger than ourselves as part of the process of recovery.
Right. Right.
I want to talk for a second, Brannon, and then maybe you could kind of tie it into kind of some of what your thoughts were before we started the episode. Just thinking about the benefits of interdependency, because some people are listening here like, why would I even want to lean in to that process? It's messy, it's hard. But it's truly one of those things where 1 + 1 = 4 or 5 in terms of outcomes when it's done right. And I'm thinking of when I worked up in Idaho for the Southeastern Drug Courts of Idaho. There was kind of what I would consider an interdependent relationship that was formed between us as treatment providers, probation officers, a judge, and a jail system that all kind of came together. And every single week we would kind of meet, and we each played a certain role. And we could provide great treatment, but we could do better if we had the support of the accountability of probation, if we had the check-in with the judge, and even like the judge that they had became almost more of like a mentor to a lot of those people than even just the one who doled out the justice, right? And then the jail system that will work with us to be able to provide different levels of structure, ranging from work release to, partial incarceration to probation to full incarceration. We can move them up and down those levels of structure as we were trying to get their feet planted and get moving. That was way more effective for the whole outcome of the client than us as a treatment system doing one thing and probation throwing them in jail and taking them out of treatment, and then the judge coming back and slapping them on the hand and threatening them but never doing anything. And like, it became a massive success. And what we found is that, people who completed the drug court program with all of those systems working together, there's a very, very low recidivism rate for going back into the legal system after they completed it. And way lower than just someone who just goes to treatment by themselves or someone who just gets thrown in jail by themselves. Right.
Yeah. That symbiotic relationship that's healthy, that it's boundaried and connected. Each system. I love how you bring up a macro level example here, because it's fascinating to me. Maybe this is my economics degree coming out, but it's each system knowing what they are, doing what they're built for, and working in conjunction toward a positive outcome.
There's a willingness to allow that to be the case with all of those relationships, to know where each person best shows up, and even with differences of opinion, sometimes being able to default into, sometimes treatment had to make some sacrifices, or sometimes a probation officer would have to make some sacrifices for the sake of the greater good, because we all believed that it was better all the way around to still lean into that than to just be our own independent things.
Right. Think about that. Let's bring it to a more micro level example of a relationship, right? Like if let's use the opposite. Let's say one partner or the other or both are just a chameleon, or just a bowl full of mush, so to speak, where
there's no structure of self.
There's no backbone. There's no truth. There's no honest opinions. There's none of that. It's just, I'm just being fake in order to be loved. How effective is that relationship going to be to actually create positive outcomes?
Yeah, that's the opposite. Like, that's going to lead to a relationship that we don't want to let go of, even though it's not producing anything we really wanted in the first place.
Yeah, I think you just described hell.
Yeah, that's misery.
That's miserable. And yet you're trapped in it. You get stuck there.
Yeah, because of that fear.
Because of that fear. So and both parties are like, well, don't, like, I'm resentful. I can't stand this, but please don't leave me.
I think it also leads to a lot of times a lack of accountability in the right places. And then that's where the cycle gets stuck, where it's like, I'm still looking, when I'm showing up looking for the other person to make me okay, and the other person's doing the same thing. Now what we're doing is we're extracting from each other at the same time, instead of two people who are showing up willingly offering their strengths and willing to receive the strengths of the other.
Yes.
That's such a different, like, there's just a different energy in that.
That's a completely different thing. Like,
right.
You just described two completely different things, and yet so many people live in that codependent system. How we view relationship, I think, is very off. And we're socialized into it. You complete me, or you're my prince or my princess, and we're going to live in a castle together, and I need you, and I need you, and I need you so badly. Like, versus what you just said, Tyler. You don't complete me, but being around you empowers me. I don't need you. I choose you. I don't need you to create my purpose, but we can co-create and create a lot more together, right? That type of stuff is possible.
And if that's not the case, then that's an indicator that you need to put your time and resources into other places where that can happen.
Right. Exactly. Find relationships where you can do that. Right. So a couple things to look at here, I think, for people to, as we're talking, you're probably thinking, well, we're healthy here, we're unhealthy there, or I wish I was in that ultimate interdependent relationship. Just some things to consider. Um, what do religion, politics, and sexuality have in common, Tyler?
There,
Let's
there,
throw emotion. Let's throw emotions in there
well,
too.
I was gonna say that's what I was gonna say is every one of those things is completely emotionally loaded
Yeah,
because it's connected to values.
yeah. So let's say, and we won't. Don't worry, we won't get into politics here, but I'll use this as an example. Let's say one person in the relationship loves Trump. The other person in the relationship hates Trump. How do they like what is it what does a codependent relationship look like?
A codependent relationship is where one or both try to conform to the other one in order to avoid the conflict, in order to make sure that they're still good.
So the person that loves Trump will be hating Trump but resenting the person that hates Trump because they have to hate Trump even though they don't,
Or vice versa.
or
Yep.
vice versa.
Yeah.
um Sounds healthy.
Yeah.
um
Just the resentment can go under the surface and I can just like have it play out in little other small sideways kinds of ways instead.
Right, because this political topic is so fiery and so heated and emotionally driven, it pushes you into the unhealthy ways to try to cope in the relationship, which in the end leads to all kinds of big problems. Um, we don't have to keep using Trump. We can use another one. What did I say?
That's
Religion.
fine. You can stick with that one.
We can move to religion if you want, or sex. But you come to the table at let's use Trump for a minute. You come to the table interdependent in the relationship. One person really doesn't agree with Trump. One person loves Trump. What does interdependency look like?
I think the key to this is Brannon is that both of us kind of have thought through why we love or hate Trump, and then we're able to know who we are and where we stand, which then gives us power to actually step into the relationship with less judgment, more curiosity, a willingness to hear and receive without taking it personally. And I think that's one of the biggest factors is the more I know who I am, the less I will take personally whatever anybody else brings to me.
But why would I, if I know that this thing is the case, I love Trump or hate him, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm on that hill, I believe that, then why would I want to go dig in with a person that disagrees with me? Like why would I want that would threaten my position.
It could. It could threaten your position. It also kind of depends on what you're going for, right? Like, so, we talk in therapy all the time. I can't tell you how many times a week I say this to people that I work with is, looks like this is one of those situations where you can either be right or effective. So what do you want to be, right or effective? Because effective usually is something bigger than being right. And so now I think what you're saying, though, Brandon, is to do this takes work. It takes the ability to suspend judgment. It takes the ability to be curious. Now, why would we do it? Because I could potentially be influenced to think or see something different, and I would be blind. I would be stupid to not be open to the fact that I might be wrong about something.
Right.
And I would also be not offering the gift of my thoughts and what's going on to influence the other person and love them if I were to happen to influence them a different way too. Right. So I'm actually loving less and I'm not able to grow as much if I just sit there and stay on an island.
Right. But here's the paradox to it. If I go in to, let's say we have an interaction and I go into it trying to influence you, what's going to happen?
Oh yeah, I mean if the whole goal is being right, then that's going to make the relationship and the conversation probably go a much different way.
Right. If I go in argumentative and trying to show you that you're wrong and I'm right, that's not interdependency,
Well,
right?
because you haven't also attended to the relationship either.
Well,
That's
and I actually haven't given respect to the other person and space to the other person, and it's what you're saying, Tyler, right? Like there's a ultimately interdependent person will understand the difference between their opinion and what truth actually is. And a lot of what is inside of you, Tyler, and inside of me is our perspective and our opinion,
that's right.
right?
That's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. So I can know like this is how I see it. And I'm pretty sure for me that's what reality is. But I do understand that that's my reality. And so if you come to the table with a completely different reality, um, I can understand that that's my opinion. And the goal is not to argue it out and figure out who's right or wrong. The goal is to understand. I
Yeah.
understand you. Your Tyler, your sexuality and your spirituality is different than every other human's. Every right? Like
Hmm.
and there's some similarities with some people, and but like it is unique to you. So
Right.
should you be just like me
No.
in order to be okay?
And in order for us to be okay with each other,
No,
no.
no, right? And but what if your politics or spirituality threaten mine? It's
Go ahead.
no, sorry, I asked you a question, but I'm trying to answer it.
Well, I mean, that is something that it's okay that they threaten mine, and the work that I have to do is to actually then go into inward. And this is what I love about dialectics is I've found dialectics to be a really effective way of me being able to find and be curious with my own perspectives while also trying to find the truth that I can get behind on the other's perspective and look for the middle ground first. And that allows then maybe some room for some connection and the ability to have influence with each other. And sometimes maybe sometimes we're so far off that we realize that we probably don't need to spend a lot of time with each other. But a lot of times we we're actually more able to connect on certain things and at least find kernels of truth in both perspectives, so that then there's a respect for the places where we might differ.
Exactly. I think if I if I love you and you love me, then I would invite that threatening experience to me. The only thing that's threatening me is not you or your opinion or your thoughts. The only thing that's threatening me is my weakness. Are you following me?
Yeah.
And like if you're respectful, you're kind, and I know you love me and we have rapport, then we can take a hot topic, whatever it is, the hottest of topics, and we can learn from each other, and we still get to land on our own opinion and our own truth. And at the end of it, you feel like I care about you and that you're valued, and it's okay that you're different than me, and I feel the same. That
Yeah.
ultimate interdependency.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Um,
Which is interesting because the more interdependent we become, the more capable we are of being able to step into the places that provide the deepest connection, because the deepest connection comes from being able to tolerate vulnerable discussions, vulnerable interactions.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I love it's a hard one to get through because it's so many hours of listening, but but Team of Rivals, about Abraham Lincoln and the way that he went about setting up his whole cabinet was so fascinating to me, that he had the intuitiveness to purposely put people in his cabinet in certain places that would disagree with him, that would challenge him, that were uncomfortable to have, that because he knew that for the sake of being effective, that was going to be better than just getting a bunch of yes men.
Mm-hmm.
And it talked about, like, in that book talked about all of the different wrestles that went on in all those different relationships, but those wrestles were also necessary for the sake of the greater good of a whole country.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful read about this very thing, that they could they could hold that vulnerable space with each other, and then it led to ultimately some really, really powerful decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the politics is a great example, Tyler. I think, especially in today's polarizing day and age, like this whole notion of there's, liberals and conservatives, or Republicans and Democrats, or whatever. Like, the truth is if the labels weren't there and the boxes weren't given, and a human being and another human being could come together, they'd find that they're individuals, that they have opinions that are on this side of the aisle or that side of the aisle, and they're mixed, and there's probably a lot more common ground that they have than they're allowing themselves to have, because they've labeled it as good or bad. Are you following me? Um, where, I was raised in Mormon Utah, and conservative as can be, and I went to grad school in liberal Hawaii, MSW program,
Yeah,
like
you're a fish out of water.
as liberal as can be, like as liberal as can be, and like I haven't like lived in like a purple state like Arizona. Like I haven't like hung out where it's kind of like both sides are like around. No, it's like either I'm here or there. And one thing that was awesome, about going to Hawaii is, um, like being around a bunch of Democrats. I was around a bunch of humans that were going to MSW school, that were amazing humans that I love and connected to just as much as the people here in Utah. And we're kind of getting off course here. The interdependent relationship is one where you get to be you and I get to be me, and I still connect to your humanity. And this comes back to your individual relationships. And we were just having a conversation earlier, Tyler, but certain topics in those relationships, when your spouse can come to you and say, this is who I am as a sexual being, this is who I am as a spiritual being, and you're there as a safe person who's strong enough in your own skin to be able to say, tell me more. I want to know you.
I might
How's
not
that
agree with you, but I want to know you.
right? But how's that person going to feel?
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like I'm not going to try to change you. I'm not going to try to force you to think something different, but I care about you. Um, that to me is love. Like that it's ultimate space and connection to be seen.
Mhm.
And that leads to deep intimacy, um and the relationship then becomes this thing that actually supports you to get to know you better. And that's awesome. It like helps you understand
It's a
yourself better.
continual process of learning,
Yeah.
a continual process of growth. And that's really what we are for each other as human beings. Is we are, I love that quote that I say all the time, but we are each other's clinical material. Like that's what
That's
it
so
is.
true.
It's we are all each other's, our families, our spouses. I think that's why marriage is so powerful when you look at it from like a continued growth perspective or a spiritual lens. Is marriage in a lot of ways is a massive part of clinical material that you get from the other partner and that you give to the other partner. Unfortunately, sometimes, but your kids, your friends, your work people, like the people around you are the clinical material that are going to help you to continue your process of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're each other's best teachers.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, before we wrap up, I I want to talk about, I want to shift gears just a little bit. You mentioned this at the beginning. Speaking of relationships, I think we don't talk about it enough. What we have, and in terms of our community and the things we have going. Um, So Tyler mentioned the signal fire. We do things where there's opportunities for connection and there's opportunities for healing. And our community over at Reclaim Your Heart, we have amazing people. The retreats that we do, we talk about all the time. But there's so much more going on than just that. And I'd love for as many people as possible to participate in this signal fire. It's a what is it, Tyler? You might not be able to explain it.
Yeah, I'll explain it.
Yeah.
We're really excited about it. So this is for our community. Of course, there's going to be an in-person part of it. So anyone who's in person up here in Logan, Utah, we've decided to do a symbolic fire that's going to lead to a lot of introspection, a lot of thought, we hope to have it kind of become a sacred experience for people.
It's on the winter solstice.
The winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year, which happens to be December 21st this year. We're going to light the fire around 4:45 as it gets dark, which is an early darkness, up on the top of a mountain that can be seen through the whole valley where we live. And then we are going to keep that fire burning until sunrise. And throughout the night, and we're gonna have it available on Zoom, and we're also going to have a fire at ground level for people who don't want to climb the mountain. It's about 2 miles straight up the mountain, so it's a really rough hike. But throughout the night, we're also going to engage in some chat discussions on Zoom. We're going to have guest speakers come and talk about some of their processes from darkness to light, the longest nights of their lives and the transformation that they've experienced. We'll also probably participate in a couple of little activities that could be seen as like a shared experience that will be things like meditations or breath work or things like that are all there to help you set the intention and do some pondering about your own darkness, your own processes of transformation from darkness to light and the growth that happens. And really maybe set some intentions and make some commitments towards new directions in your own life. So we'd love to have you join us. ReclaimYourHeart.org is where you'll find out how to get the Zoom link if you're out of town, or the GPS coordinates if you decide to try to make the climb up with us. So we're standing vigil over the fire as a symbol of being a witness to, this is going to make me emotional, Brannon, but being a witness to those of you who listen to us who are going through really hard and difficult times. And we would want you to know that that you are seen, that you are not alone, that there is a light that still burns. And so that's kind of what we're doing.
Tyler, my favorite quote, "The cave you fear to enter is holds the treasure you seek." And there's something about the cave that's interesting, and it's darkness. And I've learned over the years that the winter, the deadness, the cold is the best time for renewal. It's the best time for healing in many ways. That's when you shed your skin. It's when you deal with the darkness, you deal with the pain. The winter solstice couldn't be a better night for this. And so, yeah, come, you can join in all kinds of ways and come be a part of this. We'd love to see you there.
Yeah, you don't have to stay the whole time. You can check in. About the top of every hour is when we'll be doing some kind of either speaker or activity. Yeah. So all the way through the night.
Yeah, we love you to our audience. You're amazing. And we have such loyal listeners, and we appreciate you so much. And however we can give back and push you into deeper recovery, that's our goal. So thank you for listening today. Go practice some ultimate interdependency. And until next time, keep on keeping on.